Hey everyone, welcome back to Wonderland Wednesdays. I'm here with Sarah as usual and also her sister, my cousin Shaina. We're here to talk about Hello Kitty in Wonderland. We decided to do this one with Shaina because Shaina is a big Hello Kitty fan, so I was interested to see what she would think of it. I wasn't expecting it to be that great, and I didn't really think it was that great. I don't know how Sarah and Shaina felt, but I guess we'll talk about that right now.
It was adorable yet extremely strange. You could definitely tell it was made in the 80s with a voiceover. You could tell it was originally done more in like Japanese or something.
It starts out on the bank with her sister. When she chases after the rabbit, she's sort of taken down a vortex rather than going down a hole. It's like the ground just opens up, and she landed on this huge pink pillow type thing, which I kind of approve of. It was cute. She sees the rabbit, who's just in a spotlight, and then they end up in the Hall of Doors, where she's trying all the doors. They don't work.
Just like appeared from door to door instead of actually moving from door to door. It was like pew pew pew.
The way they animated it looked more like a video game in some places, the little jerky movements and the noises that went with it too.
At one point it sounded kind of like Metroid, if you've ever played Metroid and you're in kind of like an empty space, like a giant cavern. And when she was in the Hall of Doors, it kind of reminded me of that. It was just kind of slightly unsettling.
This must be someone's house. But where did the rabbit go? He probably went behind one of these doors. I guess I'll have to try and guess which one he used.
The 80s synth was both fun and incredibly eerie.
That's a good way of putting it.
Shivers up my legs.
Especially the scene in the Hall of Doors.
Woo!
The little door is behind a curtain, and her head can't fit through it.
Instead of having her grow and cry a river of tears, she shrunk and cried a river of tears. It was like literal fountains out of her eyes, and then it was like her head was buoyant, keeping her afloat.
Her tears actually make the door burst open, and then it's sort of like a plug has been taken out, and she swirls out through the door into the garden.
They have the caucus race in this scene.
But they don't call it a caucus race.
No, but it's all the same animals. And again, we think that the meaning of the caucus race was lost in translation because they're basically just running around a tree in a race.
That nobody wins.
It was made more in mind of children just running aimlessly around a tree.
Yeah, basically.
Like geared more for a child audience.
Really the way they had Hello Kitty talk, sometimes stating the obvious and walking you through things, it does sound like something that children could follow more easily. Then she sees the rabbit again. She's already had his fan and gloves, but nothing magical happens with him in this version.
She's just trying to return them through the whole thing.
So she follows him to his house, and after that, he really isn't that much of a part of this scene. She goes in, drinks some juice that is supposedly green apple, and gets huge, which was probably one of our favorite parts because she takes the whole roof off of the house and her little feet are sticking out.
It was supposed to be horrifying, but it was extremely adorable.
There weren't any other details that you might expect, like Bill the Lizard going down the chimney or her being called Marianne.
Basically, after that, there's like a voiceover. She contemplates drinking it again, and then the next scene is her running through the grass saying, she was right, she drank it and she shrunk again. They kind of cut out everything that happened in the middle of that.
Then she comes across the caterpillar, who's really different in this version.
Really strange. He reminded me kind of a purple snowman because he looked like he had a carrot for a nose.
I thought he looked like a clown.
Sort of, with a spiky nose.
Yeah, purple with like blue polka dots and
he had gigantic eyebrows. I don't know if they kept any of the real dialogue that goes on in that scene, and it was almost like they were trying to throw in their own little maxims throughout this whole story, and his voice was different and his personality was different. After that is an encounter with the Cheshire Cat.
Which was very heavily based on the Disney version. I was expecting something to look like Hello Kitty because it's a cat character. This is Hello Kitty Land. But no, it was a weird Disney clown hybrid.
Triangular red nose.
Yes.
That was odd.
After that, Alice ends up at the Tea Party, and the Mad Hatter is quite different, a very different version than any we've seen before. He's got anger problems, he likes to lie, his hat explodes with flowers.
He's not as eccentric and colorful.
No, he's just weird, and not good weird.
Kind of boring weird.
The Dormouse was cute though. I've got to give them credit for that because I've seen Dormice not cute. After she's done at the tea party, she ends up going towards the castle, and one of the parts that was actually rather true to the book was when she comes across the cards painting roses red, and they explain it the way it is in the book. After that, they kind of digress. Okay, they digress
Really
a lot.
digress.
But give them credit that they stuck to that. Then the queen comes along, and she has fairy wings and a hairdo that looks sort of like horns.
Actually, the Queen, the King, and the Jack all have fairy wings. I'm not really sure why. I don't think it was ever explained. It was
Because
just
why
a very
not?
odd choice. Then Queen is angry at the cards, and for some reason Alice decides that she's going to save the cards, and she's acting like their heroic protector. It ended up with them in a chase around the gardens.
The Jack thinks that he's been tricked by Hello Kitty, and then she pops out and says that she has tricked them.
I believe that we were tricked by the young lady.
I did trick him.
That was really funny. It reminded me of Mabel from Gravity Falls. I don't know why, it was just something that Mabel would say.
Then all of a sudden it's like everything's just brushed aside. She's not in big trouble for helping the cards, and the queen wants her to come play croquet. And it's kind of odd that in all of these little life lessons that are being thrown out there, Hello Kitty doesn't object to taking a flamingo, a live flamingo, and hitting a hedgehog with it. That didn't seem to be a problem. She spots the rabbit and wants to follow him, but the cards stop her. And then she's kind of forced to keep playing croquet, and cards are being taken off to be beheaded because they're not winning at the game.
But the cards that were doomed just looked mildly disappointed as they were dragged away. It was like, oh well.
Bummer.
It made me laugh anyway. I don't know if that was the intent, but I laughed at it.
And then when Hello Kitty loses control of her flamingo, the queen gets upset at her for losing her favorite mallet, and she has to...
I think she was going to be put on trial for that. This is more of the Alice trying to be a hero thing, where she's yelling at the queen for not being fair.
It was supposed to be ruled fair as long as it was ruled fair in the queen's favor. It didn't matter if it was fair to anyone else.
That was a big thrust of the court scene, the injustice of the queen.
She eventually ends up growing huge and
Getting in trouble for that.
Don't forget how it ended. When she grew big, the whole courtroom exploded and everyone flew through the air like confetti.
That was cute.
it was funny.
Almost like stop motion.
Well,
Some people were flying through the air and others were just hovering in the background.
I guess it was sort of cute and then ridiculous at the same time. And then instead of just the cards flying at her, everybody's exploding everywhere, and they're flying longer than you would expect. Instead of just, oh, the cards, and then back to...
It was just, yeah, it really was. It was like an explosion of characters. Like every character had to fly past the camera at some point, including characters that weren't even in the story, because I saw a lobster, I saw the mock turtle.
Oh, you picked up on more than I did. I
I saw the lobster.
I was mostly focused on how dramatic the queen was flailing around.
That's true. That was funny.
And it's sort of the abyss type feeling again. And then she's back on the bank with her cute sister. And the sister is very sweet about it and says that she can tell her about it on the way home. And then when Hello Kitty gets up to follow her, the fan and gloves are underneath her, like, oh yeah, that really did happen. You pick up on that? It was real. And that was pretty much the end.
All in all, a very cute film with lots of Hello Kitty adorableness. Simplified for a childlike audience with both the good and the bad of the 80s synth. Fun yet weird.
I wonder if there was any merchandise of this. Her outfit was cute.
It was the 80s. There was probably merchandise somewhere.
Anyway, Hello Kitty fans, unite and watch this kind of corny, strange chapter in Hello Kitty's history.
And Alice in Wonderland fans, you can probably skip this one unless, like us, you're trying to watch all of them. Or at least like me. Sarah's not trying to watch all of them. She's just watching the ones that she might have some slight interest in.
I'm rather excited to tell you about the other one that we watched today, but that's a different episode.
We found another silent film.
He found another silent film, and you're going to want to know about this one.
Okay, I think that's all for today. We'll see you next week for another Wonderland Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, hello, kitty.